Ready? Facebook is live, and I'm not late. It's like a Christmas miracle. All right. It's with me. Nobody healthy. So this is what this is morphed into. No, sometimes she's super sweet, and then sometimes she's like this. Bitey, bitey and scratchy. But she's getting big, right? She's so skinny. Skinny little crazy teenager. All right. So I'll get chatting. Um, I have I have an intention for today's practice. We're going to work with our balance in lots of different places. So if sitting on one foot is a little intimidating, no worries. Okay. Um, we've got all different kinds of places. We will do that, of course, but if that's your least favorite, there are other places that you can work with your balance. Um, and just a tip about balance, right, is definitely about what is on the floor. So whether that's your hand or your foot or your butt, whatever, right? Really find your foundation. Right? We talk about, we'll start standing and I'll get up in a minute. But we talk about like the four corners of the foot, right? Be evenly balanced, the pelvis being in an upright position, um, depending on, if you're seated, of course. So of course it's about what is on the floor. However, it's also about the middle. So the more you kind of hug in and engage into the middle, it does everything, right? It improves your posture, it strengthens your muscles, obviously. But try it, right? And I'll cue this as we're in some of these balance positions to just sort of let go and be loose about it and see how that feels versus engaging and seeing how that changes it. Right? So it's not just about your foundation, but it's also about your middle. So, like I said, we'll talk about that when we get there. It's just about time. So hopefully she'll be cool. Hopefully. So standing, right, that foundation that we talked about is your feet. But see if you can really feel your feet, right? So bring them up underneath your hip bones and check in that your toes are pointing forward. So then spread your toes, right? Pick up your toes and spread them wide, and see if you can even feel that pinky toe kind of move away from the rest of your foot, and then resettle into the four corners of your feet. It feels like maybe your feet are a little bit wider, right? Maybe. But even that tiny little bit, right, can help. So press down into the four corners of the feet, make your legs work a little bit. Lift your kneecaps up towards your hip bones, right, engaging into the thighs a little. A gentle little tuck of the tailbone, nothing crazy. We just want to create a really neutral pelvis. Again, we're kind of stacking so that when you're stacked, it's easier to
stand properly, right? Shoulders over hips, pelvic floor lifting, lower belly in and up, tall through the sides. Relax your shoulders and see if you can have your arms hang at the sides of your body rather than in front. Close your eyes. Imagine moving the bottom tips of your ears back a little bit. Again, feeling the weight of the head over the shoulders over the hips over the ankles. And then close, if your eyes aren't already closed, close them. And notice how you may feel a little bit of movement, right? Maybe the weight shifts a little bit and then you shift it back to center, and then it shifts off somewhere else and you shift it back to center. So even just standing, doing absolutely nothing on 2 feet, you can feel this little bit of shift that your body goes through all the time. So it's normal to wobble. Go ahead and lengthen that breath. Find a nice, full, just beyond comfortable yoga breath. We want to breathe through the nose. So if you find yourself huffing and puffing a little bit, bring it back. Keeping the lips closed. Noticing how your breathing affects your balance. Is there more of that shift if you inhale really big or exhale really big? And then maintain what you have. Maintain that lovely foundation, your engagement of your belly, the beautiful big breath. And with the next inhale, we're going to take those arms and stretch them up toward the ceiling. Coming to the top when you're full, and then exhaling them back down. We'll do that again. Inhaling up. And exhaling back down. One more time. Go ahead and inhale back to the top. Exhale, just your right hand back toward the floor. Try and keep your shoulders relaxed. We're going to tip over to the right a little bit here, like you are reaching the right fingertips for the floor. Keeping the left shoulder back, maybe look up at the ceiling, unless that bothers your neck or makes you too unbalanced. And then on the next inhale, we're coming back up to the center. Exhale the left hand down, and we'll do the same thing over here. So we're hinging over to the left. Still feel even in your feet? Engaged in your belly. With the next inhale, we're going to make our way back up to the top. Go ahead and release the arms. So we're going to add on to that. Go ahead and inhale the arms back up to the top again. And exhale your right hand back toward the floor. This time, however, step the left foot over the right. Try to get 4 corners of that foot flat to the floor as well. And then hinge over to the right again. So looking up might be a little wobbly, right? If it's 2, drop your gaze to the floor. Try and keep the left shoulder back. And then inhale, come on back to the top. Go ahead and release that left foot. Release your arms for a good little second. Refine the 4 corners of that left foot if you're off a little. We'll reach up, inhale. Exhale the left hand toward the floor and step the right foot over the left. Engage the 4 corners there as much as you can and hinge left. So thinking about the wobble, thinking about the foundation of your feet, the engagement of your belly, nice long breaths. And then we'll inhale, come on back up to the top and release the foot and the hands. Okay. So hang out here for just one quick second. I did something weird to my computer, and I just want to make sure we're still up. Okay. All right. All right. So from our standing position here, let's go ahead and take the hands to rest on the thighs. Keeping the shoulders down and back, let's exhale, come forward into a half fold kind of place. And then a bend in through the knees, we're gonna roll back up again, all the way back to standing. All right, so with your breath in and out like that. So coming forward, exhale, rounding up and take a few more flows like that. Lean on the legs if you feel like you need to here. Let's do one more. And then come over into the half fold and hold. So notice how the foundation changes, right? When the weight is coming forward, you want to lean all into your toes, right? Try not to lean so much into your toes. Try to engage into the four corners of the feet, keeping the hips over the ankles, right? It feels easier if you sort of lean the hips back, but see if you can engage enough into the four corners, pressing down, hugging in with your legs, hugging in with your belly to make it work. Go ahead and bend your knees enough to rest your thighs and your arms on your thighs. We're going to take the left hand and sweep it up toward the ceiling. So just like leaning back, this way we sort of want to lean over to the right, yeah? Try to stay centered. So the knees are even, the hips are level. I think the twist might not be so big, but so what? Releasing that side, go ahead and switch. And then come back to center again. Take the legs straight. And then gently over into a full fold, whatever that looks like. It looks a lot like the half fold, let it be like the half fold. Keeping the shoulders back. And then we'll go ahead and step ourselves back into an all fours position. So hands and knees here. Nice neutral spine, belly still engaged. Foundation is the foundation, right? Knees under hips, hands under shoulders, wrists under shoulders. Changing that up. Take the right hand, slide it underneath here, palm face up. You can drop down to the elbow, having your elbow kind of in the middle of your mat. All the way, little twist. Or continue to slide that over to the left and drop your shoulder to the middle of the mat. So the head rests comfortably. We don't want to lean on our face, right? Or even on the temple there. But we don't want to sit the hips back either. So find that middle. Engage into the floor. So pressing down into the entire right arm. Your belly's still working. Your knees are level, yes. Go ahead and take the left arm and reach up. If that's not too scary, step the left foot back, come away from the knee, and lift the left toes. And you can do all kinds of things here. You can bend the knee and find your foot. You can take your hand and wrap it around your back. Lots of little places to play, but just enough to challenge your balance. And then we're going to release it all. Come back to all fours. And we'll go the second side. So take the left hand, slide it underneath. Decide whether it's your elbow to the floor or your shoulder to the floor. Again, don't lean on your head, lean on your shoulder. So enjoy the twist if that's where you want to be. If you're going to add your balance, add your balance. And then make your way back down and come into all fours again. So finding that tabletop position, making sure that you feel engaged in your hands, not leaning into the wrists. From here, we're going to extend the right leg straight back. So heel in line with the hip. It's easier to lift it higher, but that's not the goal, right? As if you were standing up here. Belly's engaged, we're gonna stretch the left hand forward. And you may be wobbling a whole bunch here, and that's okay. You can focus lasers down at the floor, you can just gently gaze down, or you can close your eyes. And notice how that changes your balance. Let's release it. And we will do the same thing on the second side. So left leg back, heel in line again, pressing through that heel as if you were standing on that foot. When you're ready, the right arm stretches forward. Again, if you need more challenge here, maybe closing your eyes will do. Hey. Release it back down again. And we are going to add on to that. If you need to, right? Again, if you're super wobbly, just lifting the leg and arm, and that's where you need to work. Try it again, right leg and left arm. And then with the breath, you're gonna add in some movement. So on an exhale, bring your elbow and knee together underneath. Give it a squeeze. And then extend again, inhaling. Exhale, pull in. Inhale, reach away. Let's do that a few more times. If it's too easy here, close your eyes. Once more. Reaching away and then releasing back down. Right? So the same idea on the second side, not super complicated, but it can be a little tricky sometimes. Left leg back, right arm forward. And when you're ready, moving with the breath, just as controlled as you can. Let's go once more. And then release back down. One more time here. Go ahead and extend your right leg. I'm going to turn toward the camera, I think. So extending the right leg back. Instead of extending the left arm forward, though, we're going to lean to the left just enough to lift the right hand. Bend your right knee first. And then see if you can lift your right hand up off the floor. And if you can lift it up off the floor, see if you can reach back and grab your right foot. So we lean, right? We lean enough that we can balance. But maybe you don't have to lean so much. See if you can bring this right hip more in line with the left again. Kicking the foot into the hand sometimes helps. Thinking about the four corners of your right hand. Think about your belly being engaged. Gently release, stretching the leg out and bringing it down. So that same idea on the second side, sometimes the brain likes it better once it's done at once. Go ahead and extend the left leg back, bend at the knee, lean just enough to lift the left hand, and then reach for your foot if that's working for you on this side. No. Squaring up the hips a little bit, maybe. And then gently releasing what you got here, making your way back into that all fours. And then nice and easy, go ahead and sit your hips back, find child's pose. So from child's pose, we're going to move into down dog. Stretch your arms out long, re-engage the four corners of your hands, and lift the knees away from the floor. Just let yourself wiggle and stretch. Of course, in this right now. And then let yourself settle into it. So sinking in through your heels, pressing your chest back some more. Engaging into the four corners of the hands. Let's go ahead and shift forward into a plank. Hold plank. Press through your heels. Imagine your body standing up. You can absolutely stay in full plank if you'd like, or drop down to your knees, bend the elbows tight to your body, and as controlled as you can, come all the way down to the belly. Once you're there, release your toes. Hands next to the side ribs. If they landed a little bit underneath the shoulders, pull them back. Keeping the elbows in and the shoulders back, we're going to curl the chest away from the floor. Rooting down through the pelvis. Tiny little baby cobra. Keep the elbows in. Release it. Lifting everything up off the floor together. Come back to plank or kneeling plank, and then into down dog. So let's step the feet forward. We're going to make our way back to our standing fold. And work a little bit more into the hamstrings here. So you can walk in place a little bit. You can just simply take your fold a little deeper, whatever works for you here. And then coming to stillness, find the four corners of your feet. Take your index and middle fingers and wrap them around your big toes. The legs can stay bent if they need to. Take them straight if you like. We're taking the elbows out to the sides and gently pulling on those toes. Imagine dragging your belly toward your thighs. Release your toes. Bend the knees probably a lot this time. Turning in this way. And see if you can get the backs of your hands flat to the floor. So all the way up to the wrist, not just your fingers, the backs of your hands. So again, if the knees need to be bent to make it happen, bend them. We're going to keep the backs of the hands flat to the floor. Come from the tops of the toes here and slide your hands underneath your feet. We're working to get the toes into the wrist crease. Maybe that works and maybe it doesn't. Don't worry about it if it doesn't. So now your foundation is a little weird, right? See if you can still find the four corners. Maybe bend your elbows. Maybe just take your legs a little straighter. Maybe just be happy that you haven't fallen on your face. There are those days. See if you can pick up one heel and or the other. And then go ahead and release the hands. Find the four corners again. Take the palm or the hands up to your thighs. Come back into that half position, right? So parallel-ish to the floor. Shoulders are back, hips are over the ankles, right? All that fancy stuff. Lean on the legs if you need to. We're going to sit back into a chair. So we're still on the four corners of the feet. Tailbones tuck just a little bit. The shoulders are down and back. The hands are wherever you want the hands to be. But instead of being on the four corners here, go ahead and come up on your toes. Try to stay on your toes. On the next inhale, stay on your toes, stretch to the ceiling. And then release it all. All right. So to the top of the mat, if you're not already there, we're going to change up our sun salutes a little bit today. We'll start off the same, and then we'll add some extras in there. Okay. So with an inhale, let's go ahead and stretch the arms up. Exhale, take yourself into a fold. Inhaling, come halfway up. Exhaling, step yourself back into plank. And drop on down to the belly again from the knees if that's you. Little baby cobra here. You can make it a little bit bigger if and when you're ready. Keeping the elbows in, up and back, down dog. And then inhaling, step forward, fold. Halfway up on that next inhale. Fold it over again. All the way up. Exhale, release. Again, just like that. Make it more intense if and when you're ready. Lifting up, inhaling, holding forward, exhale. Halfway. And back into plank. Drop it down, that same exhalation if you can. Rolling up into your cobra, inhale. Back to down dog. And inhale, step forward into fold. Halfway up. Back over. To the ceiling. And release. So just like every week, we're going to do one more just like that, only you get to do you and I'm going to shut my mouth. Right? So if you get lost, remember to look up, right? Or add in a variation if that's where you need to be, right? So let's go. Inhaling the arms, and you're on your own. How'd you do? All right. So these next couple we're going to add on, right? A little bit different. You can always take different variations. So let's go. Inhale, sit into chair. Exhale, take it into your fold. Inhale, come halfway up. And exhale back to your plank all the way down. Cobra. And then back to down dog. Inhaling the right foot, step forward in the lunge. You can drop the back knee or the back heel. Maybe try to stay up on the toes. Lift the upper body, reaching up. Exhale, come on back down into your lunge and step back down dog. Inhale, slide forward plank. Exhale to the belly. Cobra. Back to down dog. And then the left foot steps forward. Again, the balance challenge here is on the toes. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, back down. Sliding into plank. Dropping to the belly. Into cobra. And then back down dog. Hold here or drop into child's pose and take 5 breaths. If you dropped into child's pose, go ahead and lift back to down dog. And on the next inhale, we'll step the feet forward back to the fold. Come halfway up. And then fold back over. Into chair, inhale. And exhale to release it. Okay. We're going to do one more, just like that. Right? Again, make it more or less challenging on your balance or your breath or whatever you got. So let's go. Inhale, cobra, chair. Back to the fold. Halfway up. Back to plank. All the way down. Cobra. And down dog. Right foot forward. All the way up. All the way back down again. Down dog. Sliding into plank. Dropping down. Over again. Back to down dog. Left foot forward. All the way up. All the way down. Down dog. Plank. To the belly. Cobra. And then back to down dog. Same thing here, holding here, or dropping to the knees. Lifting back to your down dog if you drop down. And then inhaling, stepping forward into fold. Coming halfway up. Folding back over. Into chair. And release it all. All right. So you might not have even felt it, but you were definitely working with your balance on that. So let's go ahead and take a nice big step back with the left foot. We're going to work into warrior two. So check out your feet. Right toes point forward, left toes cut in a bit, and then bend into that right knee. Find your toes on big toe. And then extend the arms. Feel even on your feet here. See if you can feel your belly engaged, your pelvis level, shoulders level. And then we're going to change it up. The arms can go up, but if that feels too wobbly, maybe center, hips, resting on the thigh, whatever you need. Come up on your left toes and then pivot around so that you're in a full lunge. You have to adjust a little bit. We want to keep the left leg nice and straight. Press through the heels, sink into the hips. And then, because it's fun, make sure your belly is engaged here. Exhale, bring your left knee almost to the floor. And then lift it back up. Do that again. One more time like that. Release the hands and step that right foot back to a three-legged dog. So slide it back and up. Even on the four corners of the hands, level with the pelvis. Make sure your belly is working. We're going to slide forward, keeping the right toes away from the floor. Hold. Back to three-legged dog. And then step the right foot forward into that lunge again. Nervous straddle. And then we're going to turn toward the back of the mat. So turn your right toes in a little bit. Flip the left toes toward the back of the mat. Lift the upper body and adjust if your feet are not perfectly perfect for you in warrior two. Turning into that variation of warrior one, arms where you want the arms to be. Come up on the right toes and pivot around. Keeping the upper body upright, press through that right heel. And then bend the right knee almost to the floor. Back to the top. Again. One more time. Back to the lunge. Slide the left foot back and up for our three-legged dog. Check in with your balance, check in with your engagement, and then slide forward three-legged plank. Hold. The right knee can come to the floor, of course, if it needs to. Back to three-legged dog. We'll go ahead and step the left foot forward into lunging. And walk the hands back around to the middle. Toes point forward, let yourself hang out here for a little minute. Taking the palms to the floor, so even if you have to bend your knees to make it happen. Hands shoulder width apart, find the four corners of your hands again here. And imagine pressing down into your hands. See if you can press down into your hands enough that it almost takes some of the body weight from your feet. And then go ahead and release the weight. Walk the hands back around toward the right foot. Step forward into fold. We'll take a little bend in the knees here, and on an inhale, roll all the way up. So we've got a couple more standing poses, and essentially just for balance, right? You have to work everything else, of course, too, right? So we're gonna start. Let's go ahead and start in your half fold. So it might not be exactly a half fold because we want to take the fingertips to the floor. And again, if the knees need to be bent to get them there, bend your knees. And if you needed more support, of course, you can use a block or whatever, you know, to make it more stable. So we're going to start by keeping everything else the same. All the weight into the right foot, lifting the left leg away from the floor, just like we did on hands and knees. So we want the hips level. Ideally, the right leg is straight without walking it out. And if you need your hands on the floor, that's where they are. Otherwise, maybe up on the thigh, flying in any direction. Belly's in, hips are square, shoulders back. From here, if it's not already, take the right hand back to the floor. Bring your left hand to your hip and see if you can now open that left hip over the right. As if you're stacking your hips, stack your shoulders. Imagine your left toes pointing toward the wall instead of the floor. That might not be reality. If you need more, you can lift the left arm, look up at the ceiling, all the fancy things. And then fold it back up. And we'll go to the second side. So, same thing. Fingertips to the floor, all the way to the left foot. Slide that right leg back and up. Keeping that leg straight, ideally the left leg is straight. If you found your balance, lift your hands away from the floor. Even if it's a second at a time, until your brain can figure it all out. And then the hands go where they go. Left hand to the floor, right hand to the hip. Open the right hip. Add fancy things if you want to add fancy things. Is your belly engaged? Release it all back into your fold. And then let's just go ahead and step ourselves back into down dog. We'll drop down to the knees, take a little break in child's pose. So we're going to work with pigeon. Let's go ahead and come back to down dog. And we're gonna bring the left knee right up behind the left wrist. Slide the right leg back. And you can absolutely keep your toes tucked under here or drop the toes to the floor. The right knee rests on the mat. So if you're having issues, right, maybe the knee being closer to the middle of your mat is where you want to be. But see if you can open it to the left a little bit. And then the left foot comes forward toward the right hand. So you're gonna find a place where your body is okay with it. Make sure your body's okay with it. The more you flex the left foot, once you get it to a certain place and you can flex it, the happier your knee will be there. We want to keep the hips square. So if you're all falling over to the left, pull it back to center. And maybe just readjust your left foot. So you can absolutely stay up on your hands. If you'd like, drop down your forearms or all the way down forehead to the mat. And then again, check in. Are you leaning all over the place? Or are you pretty centered and balanced? I mean, you're not going to fall down or anything, but you can still feel it, right? So take one more breath here. And then we're going to make our way back up onto the hands. So really important to feel balanced. Again, if you're sort of leaning over, it's going to be hard to stay upright. So if you need to adjust the left leg, definitely do. Imagine drawing your legs toward each other here. Ain't no one to touch, right? So the more you can square up your hips, the easier the balance will be. Walk your hands back until you can bring your body more upright. Maybe bend your right knee, take your right hand back and find your foot. Keep the hips nice and square. Kicking the foot into the hand lifts the body more upright. Hugging the legs toward each other keeps the pelvis balanced. And then you don't need this left hand. Gently release what you got. And nice and easy, make your way back to down dog. All right, so the same idea on the second side. Let's bring that right knee up. Land it right behind the wrist. And then stretch your left leg long, toes tucked under or flat to the floor. Right knee more toward the middle or more toward the right side. Maybe the foot comes forward. Just gonna see where your body is over here. Probably not the same. So squaring up the hips, keeping the spine long, and then dropping down if you want to drop down. One more nice big breath. And then back up to the hands. So again here, listen to where your body needs to be. If it needs a little less, bring it a little less. Pull the legs toward each other, lift the chest. Maybe just simply walking the hands in a little bit closer so your upper body is upright. Maybe bend the knee and the left foot or the left hand finds the foot. Staying square, staying upright, and maybe lifting the right hand away from the floor, even if it's for a millisecond. Gently release. And nice and easy, back to your down dog. Let's drop on down to child's pose. sit up on the heels. So this is one of my favorite places to balance because it's just so crazy. And you can feel it whether you're in a really deep variation of the pose or whether you're just beginning, you know. So let's come up to the tops of the knees. And remember, if you need to cushion your knees, double up your mat, throw a blanket or something not super squishy. Wouldn't mind knee on a pillow, right? But something to just comfort your knees a little bit. And if it's too much and forget it. So here, let's step the right foot forward. So knee over ankle, hips are square to the top of the mat. Okay? And you can probably already feel it's a little less stable. So think about your foundation. Imagine pulling your legs toward each other. And when you do that, notice how that engages your pelvis, your lower belly. That's where it's coming from. So your back foot can stay tucked under, can stay flat, or tuck the toes under. And see if your left hand can find your left heel or calf or whatever it is you can find. If that is not happening, that's what block is for. It's a little higher. You can bring it wherever you need. Right? So here's what you got. Keep the pelvis square so you're still imagining pulling your legs toward each other. Maybe reach the right arm. You can drop the right shoulder back, adding in a nice big back bend here. Keep the chin tucked toward the throat rather than just pointing your chin at the ceiling. Modeling yet? Gently rolling yourself to the left to come on up out of that. We're going to switch. Bringing the left foot forward. So take your time, right? Finding your foundation. Because if you're already unstable before you even get here, no bueno, right? So thinking about the foundation, hugging your legs toward each other. See where the right hand needs to go. Keep the hips square. Maybe reach the left arm up, square the shoulders. Adding in your back bend if that's you. And we're here mostly for the balance, so make that the job. Rolling to the right to come on out. And then releasing. Go ahead and sit back on your heels for just a second here. And then let's move into one last down dog just because. Dropping down to the knees. Bring the legs around front. So stretch the legs out long. Take inner thigh rotation, so we're upright. Sitting tall here. Reach the arms up. And go ahead and fold over the legs. Let the hands fall where the hands fall. Keep the shoulders back and down. Big breaths. On an inhale, we're coming back up again. Release the arms. So you think we're on our bottom, so how bad could balancing be? We're going to play with both a little bit. So that's really the last little bit of balance work that we're going to get, but it is still work. Okay. So find your seat and take your feet flat to the floor. Ideally, feet in line with the knees and hips. Take the arms and grab onto the backs of your thighs. Arms are almost straight, so we're leaning back just a little bit. Keep the chest lifted. See if you can lift your toes. So just simply balancing. You can hang on here, you can let go. You can take your shins parallel to the floor, let go. You can take your legs straight and let go. Use your belly. Keep breathing. Stay balancing. Bring the soles of your feet together and hang onto your ankles. Drawing the heels in, keep the chest lifted. Stay balancing. And take your index and middle fingers and wrap them around your big toes. From here, see if you can take your right leg straighter. Don't worry about straight, make it straighter. Keeping the pelvis level, your chest lifted, you're breathing. And then bring it back. Switch, take the left leg straight-ish. And then bring it back. Take both legs straight. And then bring the soles of the feet back together. Hang on to your ankles again, stay balancing. And instead of keeping the chest lifted, go ahead and C-curve through the spine, roll on down. Soles of the feet stay together, take the feet to the floor, and rest. Let your belly release, let your pelvis feel heavy, keep the shoulders dropping back. Bring the knees together. And then gently draw those knees into the chest and let yourself rock a little bit. So we're going to keep the knees into the chest here and take the shins vertical. Using the hands on the backs of your thighs or maybe reaching up for the soles of your feet. We're going to pull down on the feet, drawing the knees closer to the armpits. Keep your shins vertical. And notice how much your spine does or does not round up off the floor. It's not the goal for it to, just notice that it does. And wiggle around enough that you can really kind of get in there. So keep the knees drawn into the armpits as good as it's going to get. Pulling down on the feet, press the feet back into the hands. So push and pull. See if you can turn your tailbone toward the floor a little bit more and drop the shoulders back a little bit more. Maybe yes, maybe no. And then release it all, taking both feet flat to the floor. From here, we're going to open the arms out into a T position. And it's always your option to do whatever variation of this last twist that you like. But maybe today, take the hips to the right, drop the knees to the left. Again, here, if you want to cross your legs, take your legs straight. Bring your knees closer to your left elbow, whatever works. Checking in with how your body's feeling. And we're going to take just a couple more breaths on this side. Gently bring yourself back through the center. And we'll take the second side. So hips left, knees right, or whatever other variation that you need on this side. Remember, we work towards symmetry, but our bodies are not perfectly symmetrical. So you may find that the body needs a different stretch over here. Taking just a couple more breaths over here. And then we'll make our way back to center again. Pulling the knees back to the chest. Let yourself rock. And then squeeze those knees as tight in as you can get. Pull your forehead toward your knees. And release it. Get a nice big full body stretch. Release the stretch. Bring your arms down by your sides. Make the body comfortable for Shavasana. So whatever that looks like, see if you can find alignment. Relaxing the muscles. Releasing control of the breath. And if it helps you, stay attentive to the breath so the mind can stay focused. If you don't really need to watch the breath to stay present, then maybe use another trick. Just keeping the mind focused and present rather than wandering off or making a laundry list. Okay. Let your body rest. Slowly draw in a deep cleansing breath. And then let it go. Begin by wiggling your fingers and your toes. Moving and stretching through your arms and your legs. Maybe taking another full body stretch if that sounds good. And when you're ready, slowly making your way back up to seated. Sitting well and bringing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. Thanks for hanging in there. Wasn't very motivated this morning, so you guys helped motivate me, and I hope I can help motivate you. So those of you who played along in the 5-day challenge, thanks so much for doing that. If you're interested in either a 5-day challenge, or I have actually a 4-week program of 15 minutes every day, but it also includes a couple of other little things to help keep you zen. I called it Zen, so that's appropriate, right? Throughout your day, feel free to reach out, check out anydayyoga.com, share, comment, and help me get out there. All right. So thanks, you guys. Have a great weekend. Hopefully the weather is nice where you are. It's amazing here. And I'll see you next week. Thanks so much, y'all.